Welcome to the Jeremiah Show. I bet you didn't know this about me. I nerd out on restaurant accounting. It's true. I love reading restaurant budgets, pro formas, and profit and loss statements. I love raising restaurant sales year over year, year to date, and beating yesterday. I get supercharged and energized by good food costs, poor costs, and shelf to sheet inventory systems. I mean, a nerd, right? But today I've met my match. My guest is Marta Grumberg. Marta loves numbers as much or more than me. Marta has made it her life's work to ferociously guard her restaurant clients' bottom line and keep them open and profitable. Marta is co-owner of Grumberg Accounting. Grumberg Accounting specializes in restaurant, bar, and catering accounting. So a restaurant's health, it's a fascinating thing. It's living, it's breathing, it's challenging, and it's a rewarding animal sometimes. A restaurant rewards organization and it punishes laziness and cutting corners. You've seen the Kitchen Nightmares or Restaurant Impossible TV shows where the owners are a $500,000 in debt and their families are being torn apart by the restaurant. But it doesn't have to be that way. Unfortunately, most often it is. And that's because the owners didn't set up a foundation or maintain their finances. And it's not that difficult, but it does take dedication and it does take attention. On today's show, Marta will give you the tools to run your restaurant so that it doesn't run you. And don't worry, if you don't have a restaurant or a bar, but maybe you've always wanted to open your own, or maybe you're simply curious about how a restaurant works, you've heard all the nightmare stories. Well, then stay with us to get a crash course in restaurant financing 101. You've probably heard this before. The restaurant industry has a notoriously high failure rate. Estimates suggest that about 17% to 30% of new restaurants fail in their first year, and 80% of restaurants fail within the first 5 years. Around 65 and a half restaurants close within their first 10 years, meaning that there's only about 35% that survive that long. But you can beat those grim stats. Marta Grumberg is going to tell you how. Welcome, Marta.
Hi, Jeremiah. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you. I have to ask you this at the top, not that it means anything to the show, but we booked almost 3 months ago. And
Yes.
are you that busy? It must have been around tax time or something. I was like, 3 months out. She's really organized. She's planning way ahead.
Well, yeah. One thing that I do, I plan. I am not only advised to plan, I try to plan myself. And it has been a few busy months with work with clients and trying to attend podcasts and do it all together to juggle in between. But it is busy season and I'm glad it's over, the busy season, and I'm ready for the new season to come.
Oh yeah, you're ready for the next one, huh? For the next cycle. Well, that makes sense now. Why you booked past April? I didn't really put two and two together, but I'm glad you're here. I'm so happy that you're here. You have a really neat story, a neat background. Let's go because I learned part of your background before we went on air. Let's tell that, and then let's talk about when you and your husband opened a restaurant. So let's go back to Ukraine.
Yeah, let's go back to my accent first. That always comes from there. I was born in Ukraine, so I speak Russian, and that's the accent. It sticks for me all over the place where I go. I immigrated to Israel when I was 6. I grew up there. I met my husband. And we opened our first restaurant back then. We got
Did
married
you
after
open
that.
it I'm sorry to interrupt you. Did you open it in Israel?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
And by some miracle, we also got married after that. Most of the couples that owned any food service business in that plaza broke up. We were the only one that survived the food service business. It's so stressful. There's so much going on always around that. It's very dynamic, very interesting, but brings some tension. So we got married and we went to college. We sold the business and we went to college.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you sold it rather than you losing it. What was the concept of the
It
restaurant?
it was dairy Italian food. It was most of it salads, pasta, potatoes, sandwiches, build it yourself bar. We had lots of deliveries. We had some local people coming in for good coffee and pastry. Um, we were during the week, morning to night, basically all day around the
Yeah,
clock.
what hours were you open?
Oh, we were opening, I think, at 8 and closing at 9 p.m. We were young and ambitious, so we put all our lives there. And we sold it when I was pregnant.
Okay, that was a smart move.
Smart, yeah.
You replaced one baby with another one.
Yes, it was about time. We owned it a few years.
Yeah, was it 4 years that you owned it?
I think it was around 4 or 5 years. It's an interesting concept. In the beginning, we started only as a kitchen. We did only deliveries. And then we expand ourselves and I want something frontal. So we built, we actually rented a space and a built like a coffee shop restaurant, neighborhood restaurant. It was very cute and unique and it was a great experience. We had our mistakes and learned from our mistakes and recovered from the mistakes. And now looking back, I wish somebody was there for me as a partner,
Mm.
helping me and advising me and raising all the red flags.
Doing what you do now for clients.
Yes,
You wish you had somebody like that. How long did that 4 or 5 years feel like in human years?
in human years. Well, back then it felt forever because we were so young that every year felt forever. But now when I look back, it was great time. We had our fun, but it was also stressful and hard and kind of double time.
Yeah.
I will, yeah,
Had you or your
serving
husband?
double time.
Yeah, you never go. The thing about the restaurant business that even I've forgotten sometimes that it's 7 days, all 365 years or days a year. It never stops unless you stop it for a holiday or something. But it's when you go
Yeah,
home, you're thinking about it. When you sleep, you're dreaming about it. It's all consuming.
yeah.
Did you and your husband um, have restaurant experience before you opened the restaurant?
No, as I mentioned, we were young and ambitious,
Yeah.
but
How old were you?
I was 20
20. Okay.
and he was
So
22.
so do you see that? That's not a mistake, I don't think. I wouldn't call it that. When you open a restaurant and you've never ran a restaurant or opened one before, I mean, you've got to start somewhere, right? But it is a common mistake for that I see where restaurant owners open without they almost just want their name above a door or they think it looks exciting, but they don't understand the hard work that goes into building that foundation so that the restaurant can operate without really dragging you down and dragging your finances down. Do you feel like you were prepared when you opened your restaurant?
Mm, No, we definitely did not have enough financial knowledge, that's for sure. About we were very excited about the dishes, about the customer service, which was more doable. And when you're passionate about that, it's easy to reach a good result. But the marketing part and the hardest was the financial part because it's very important to budget. It's very important to make the good call, the right calls about pricing your menu and not try to outsmart the market, which I tried and failed. Um, it's very important to calculate every month your COGS. We were so busy about running and managing the restaurant and so excited about serving and giving customer service and getting all the market around us loving us, that we neglected that, and that was a mistake. And in some point we understood that and we recovered, but it was painful and it was hard and it was challenging. And again, I wish somebody was there for us to raise the flag and chase me and send me emails over and over saying, watch your income statements, look at your COGS, look at your payroll expense, look at the cycles that you work of your rising and income, and then it's slowing down. So we did not have anybody like that, and we had to learn from mistakes, and it takes more time and it costs you more. By the end of the day, you pay money for that, and that was
Yeah, you pay a
painful.
lot more, right? Like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
think you're saving money in that opening, hiring someone like yourself, Grumberg Accounting. You're hiring someone that understands restaurants, which is there are very few accountants that specialize in what you do. So it's
yeah.
very difficult to find someone that learned like you do or that knows the business like you do. But you cannot cut those corners. And we're gonna dive into as the show goes on the the different recommendations and advice that you give and the things that maybe there's someone out there right now that's about to open a restaurant. This is your class. This is your show. Take some notes here because Marta's going to tell us how to really set it up correctly from the beginning. But but don't cut those corners. I think that's a really great point. Don't cut out hiring someone like you to help them set it up. It will change the entire operation in ways that you can't even imagine right now. That if you have that great, solid foundation, it's like building a home without having that
Yeah.
foundation. You can't do it. It's going to fall down.
You can do it all by yourself. That's what I had to learn in a hard way, because when you're young and ambitious, you think you can do it all
Right.
yourself. Everything, build the menu, run the numbers, manage your cash flow, hire the team, and it's all gonna be okay. So sometimes you need to learn to delegate, to choose your professionals and choose your partners, people that will be there for you and for your business, and will represent your interests.
How often do people come to you, Marta, that have realized what you just recommended on their own? Do they come to you before they open a restaurant, or do they typically come to you, your clients, after they've opened and they're already in trouble?
Typically, they come when they're already running, because usually they hire me when they have a certain amount of operation already, some net coming. And then when they open their second or third or fourth location, they already use me. That's the majority of my clients.
Hmm.
Some of them, most of them, already had a bad experience with their bookkeeper or accounting firm.
So I think if there's a takeaway from this conversation, this segment, it's for people listening, it's go to someone like Marta Grumberg or Grumberg Accounting that only works with restaurants and hospitality clients that knows this business. The takeaway is go before you start, go and have and talk to an advisor, a financial advisor that specializes in restaurants. If someone
Yes.
comes in and sits down at your desk and says, "Hi, Marta, I want to open a restaurant," what do you ask them?
I, I asked them how much money do they have. If they planned everything ahead, that's the key to success. No, I'm just kidding. Basically, I usually talk about my financial part. It's great when I get a client in the beginning, because then we are able to build a good chart of account that represents the industry, that has a standard to the industry. Then we can run reports and compare to the industry, and it's easy. But I take everybody. I take people that say, okay, my old accountant did not want to change my chart of account, and he wanted to keep working like he wanted. accountants and people of numbers, they're also very particular and certain with their ways. They're sometimes having a hard time to deal with the food service people. They having hard time to change and adapt. Sometimes they very black and white, and I say no, accounting is not always black and white. Accounting has its rules, but it's also there to serve you and show you and mirror you your business activity, your success, and maybe the worst days and the best days. So we basically sit down and I build a chart of accounts, and then we establish a relationship that gives me the opportunity to do the maximum work volume that I can on the financial part and take the load from the owners, people, owners, managers. They hate to deal with finance, receipts, uh, bills, long, exhausting reports. So we do have a bill system, and we have a special organization structure that is a little bit not as usual to be able to serve a better customer service for the managers. And then we just start working, and I start bother them with emails. I try to minimize it. I try to keep it short. I do know very well the industry, so I know from the beginning to raise the red flags, to send a short report pointing the keynotes. We do build a good established relationship, let's say even for accounts payables, for the vendors. And the best I can do for the food industry is to keep their finance organized, to track and make sure they don't have any mistakes, that everything is reconciled and they don't need to worry about it. And my second job is to provide reports, but not just reports, long and exhausting reports, with short analysis that they need to spend exactly 3 minutes to understand what's going on. That's the key to success, to successful partnership. And I
Mm-hmm.
always say I'm really involved and cheer for my clients, and I feel like I'm even a partner, because their success by the end of the day is my success, and I really want him to have a successful and easy ride. It's very important for me to make it easy for them. I don't want to complicate it more, because sometimes when you work with accountants, they promise you that you will have only one person that deals with you, and they promise you a lot, but in the end of the day they're not narrowed down to the industry, and they have a high turnover, and they send you those overwhelming emails with multiple questions and with the language that you don't even want to start looking at. So I try to build a good relationship, and I really try to cheer and support. I say, you know what, choose your doctor, a lawyer, and accountants very well, and trust them to be your partners and cheer for your success.
Keys to a happy life, it sounds like.
Yeah, I try to make it happier on the finance
Um,
side.
when you sold the restaurant and went to college, did you know what you wanted to do? And was that because of owning the restaurant, or
Uh,
did it come to you in college? And why did you know, the end of that question is why did you choose this profession to help restaurant owners?
it's so funny. It happened. It almost haunted me. It happened so many years after. So I went to college. I had my managerial BA, then my MBA. I did some marketing. I worked in accounting. I worked some corporate, and then we decided to open the business. When I was again pregnant, and it was time to change again. So we opened the business, and we were serving all the fields. But within some very short time, we realized that somehow majority of our clients in that certain point were from the food service industry. It was restaurants, bars, caterings, and we start noticing some tendency and some trends and some similar things that all are struggle with, or all of them need from us. And within a short time, we build a particular system tailored and customized to the industry. And also we develop the system how we can tailor and customize not just to the industry, and particular for each and one of our clients. And we decided that we are going to stop with serving all the fields. We had lots of different, we had real estate, and we had high tech, and doctors, and different fields, because accounting is accounting. But we decided to concentrate on the food service industry, and happy since then. I think it's haunted me from the past, from the days I had the restaurant. It's the love to those guys. I was one of them back in the
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. You love what you do?
I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah, I have so much passion, especially it's funny. I love what I do and I'm very passionate about my clients' success. It's very
Mm.
important for me. And it's very important for me for them to be very happy with our service and our relationship. And it's beyond just work relationship. It's important for me to make their lives easier. Whatever it happens, it makes me happy.
Does it happen a lot? Do you have a good success
Honestly,
rate?
yes. Yes, yes, very
What's
high.
the
Yeah,
first thing
yeah.
you advise them to do?
Well, to organize
Trust you.
themselves, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. To trust me, yeah. I
Yeah.
advise them to trust me, and I ask them only one thing. When I email a question or text a question, I'm very persistent with what I do, just to answer me. It's very simple. Only I ask them only to answer, to help me to keep their business in order, and it makes their lives so much easier because in the end of the year here comes the tax season and you don't want to get there not knowing what you're doing on or what's going on your balance sheet or P&L. I do work in the end of the year with their CPAs. If then they don't have CPAs, we have a team, we have partners that we work with them. Very quick, very short, very easy. um, and then I say, I'm here for you in case you get audited. That's the most important thing that I can do for them is to help with all of that.
Yeah. What are
We
the
do
two
also
biggest?
meal stacks. I'm saying that we do also meal stacks and we support them during the audit seasons. You know, there are small audits that they're going through, some licensing, some issues with the states, everything, basically everything except the income.
What are two of the biggest costs that a restaurant has for those that are thinking
Payroll,
about opening?
payroll, definitely payroll, in my
Payroll,
opinion.
labor.
Labor, and this is the most important that you need to watch closely because restaurants tend to have seasons. You have high season and you have the time of the year when it slows down. Nothing is more expensive than empty tables in a restaurant, and especially if you stick and keep your team. I noticed that a lot of managers struggle to downsize team because it's hard to hire a good qualified and successful team. And then when you already build it, it's very hard to downsize it. And sometimes it's crucial. It's a matter of staying in the business or going out of the business. And it's very important to be on top of that. And review your COGS, especially with the high prices today, with the inflation and everything, COGS has changed. And so you need, and when I say COGS, I mean also review your menu and see
Food
what else you
cost,
can do. Food cost, yeah.
food cost, bar cost. What are some of the challenges that you're seeing right now with this economy, with the food pricing, the tariffs, and all the other, full fuel surcharges, all these different expenses that have gone up in 2025? What are the current challenges that restaurants face right now?
I see a lot of people asking me what to do with the high COGS. It's expensive. The large vendors, their prices are too high sometimes for the smaller businesses, for the beginners. So they ask what to do, how to deal with that. And it's a very hard call for them because every single owner or manager, they have their vision about their dishes, about how they serve their people. So sometimes it's very hard to change and adapt to the new system. And it's very hard when somebody from outside comes and say, oh, you know what, you need to cut half of your crew. You need to change your menu because it's too expensive and not profitable. So you need to find the balance. You need to,
Hmm.
on one hand, you need to be um, you need to keep your vision and you need to love your business and continue to serve your customers and the way you want to do. But on the other hand, you need to make sure you have margins, you have profit, because in the end of the day, you have to pay the bills and take something home with you. So it's a balance, and we review the books. Sometimes I recommend, it's funny because sometimes I recommend to check for the smaller businesses. I say, check your vendors, take your vendors prices and go to wholesale and check, maybe it's cheaper there. So people get like, how come? It's because they nailed better better contracts 5 years ago. So with the inflation and how prices changed, they able to sell you cheaper than your vendor that drives it to you. So it's being creative around the situation. Um, Payroll is a big thing, so I try to keep an eye on the report and make sure that the ratio of the labor cost stays within the 30% or lower. It's very important because it eats your financial cushion within few months and can kick you out of business, and you don't want to do that. I've seen successful stores that within a year, and you mentioned it in the beginning, they just lost everything just because they had hard time to adjust and re-evaluate. I say don't be afraid to think outside of box and diversify your business. If you're a high-end restaurant, doesn't mean you can have like 5 hours of delivery, special dishes, special menu during your slow time. That's being thinking out of the box. And so it's very individual, but generally we're trying to watch the market and see what's going on to make sure we alert the clients on time.
Good advice. And know your numbers. I know that's something that you bring to the game when someone hires you. You teach them their numbers. You watch over their numbers. While that sometimes while they're not watching over them, they are cooking or they're on the floor or they're running the restaurant in front of the customers. But you're always watching their numbers and then teaching them about their numbers, to know their numbers, their menu costs, their pour costs. You say that restaurant finance starts in the kitchen. Can you explain that?
Yeah, it starts in the kitchen because the kitchen, well, it depends, but in most cases it starts in the kitchen. It starts with your inventory and the responsibility that your employees take with your inventory and the dishes that you build and the menu that you build. It's important to make sure, and I've done that mistake, so I understand that you build a profitable menu and you review it over time because things changes and costs change. So it always starts in the kitchen because that's where you begin your journey. Usually the kitchen is more tricky. So the back of the house will be more tricky with margins than the front of the house also. The front of the house will be more straightforward. It's easier to calculate and it's easier to manage and it's easier to track. The back of the house is a little bit more tricky. You need to have a responsible chef that makes sure that he controls the inventory, that he builds a profitable and balanced menu, and that he somebody watches also the COGS and the vendor's pricing.
How often do you recommend that the chef and the owners check their food, their menu cost?
It depends on the numbers. I look in the P&L, and if I see a red flag, I say,
Yeah.
okay, okay, we need to review. We need to review. You know, sometimes when things work, and it's good to do something generally to make it better. Like you can review it annually just to make it better and improve some procedures and improve your menu. But I also review on a monthly basis the reports to make sure if something is starting change. So I'll be there to say, okay, now we need to review. Hold on, let's see what else we can do. I will point, I will review, I'll run the reports, I will analyze it, and I will point it out in a small summary, short summary, to make sure it gets to the right person on time.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and coming up after the break, don't go anywhere. We're going to talk about what are the main causes of restaurant failure and how to avoid them. My special guest today is Marta Grumberg. She's a co-owner of Grumberg Accounting. You can find them on their website at grumbergaccounting.com, Grumberg, accounting.com. Grumberg Accounting is the only firm that provides accounting and bookkeeping services for the food industry, serving restaurants, bars, and catering businesses. They have the financial expertise you need to thrive. Grumberg Accounting understands the fast moving, detail heavy world of hospitality, which is why they go beyond traditional bookkeeping. The Grumberg accounting team manages your full financial cycle, tracking every sale, every purchase, invoice, and payment. With real time monitoring and hands on support, Grumberg Accounting helps you stay ahead of risks, spot inefficiencies, and make smarter financial decisions. Let Grumberg Accounting take the stress out of your numbers so that you can focus on delivering great food and an unforgettable service. And instead of hiring a full time or part time accountant, save money and time by outsourcing your books to Grumberg Accounting. There are no setup fees. It's risk free, 60-day money back guarantee, fast setup, national wide service anywhere in the United States. Go to grumbergaccounting.com to find out more or to contact Marta Grumberg or her team. You can call them at 704 298 6144 or find out more again at grumbergaccounting.com. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere.